Hello crafters, I'm JanB and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. Today I'd like to show you how I made this tissue box cover. The tissue box is just inside, and once the box is empty you just slide the lid off, pop a new box in and you're ready to go again. Brilliant idea. It was inspired totally by this tissue box cover I was given by Rebecca Wilmore when we went to the Stampin' Up OnStage Convention at the beginning of November in Telford. This was a special swap, and whereas I've taken the easy option on mine and I've used designer series paper, Rebecca has actually stamped all of her design on here. It is absolutely stunning, really beautiful. I'll put the products in the box below of what Rebecca used for this, the colours and the stamp set and everything, in case you would like to copy what she's done rather than taking the easy option like I have done. But it's really stunning, beautiful. Many thanks, Rebecca. So the card pieces that you're going to need are 2 pieces of Sahara Sand, which measure 9 inches by 5 3/8 inches, which is 22.8 by 13.6 centimetres. Another piece of Sahara Sand which measures 4.5 inches by 4 inches, which is 11.4 by 10.1 centimetres. Another piece of Sahara Sand which measures approximately 2.5 by 3.5 inches, which is about 6 by 9 centimetres. And then for the Whisper White you need one piece that's 4 1/4 inches by 3 3/4 inches, which is 10.75 by 9.5 centimetres. Then you need 2 pieces that measure 3 3/4 inches by 4 5/8 inches, which is 9.5 by 11.7 centimetres. And then you need 2 pieces that measure 4 1/4 inches by 4 5/8 inches, which is 10.75 by 11.7 centimetres. That's actually round the wrong way. That's 9.5, that's 10.75. But at least the measurements were right, and they will be up on the screen. And then if you want to do my option with the designer series paper, you're going to need this. If you're going to do Rebecca's, you stop now and you do your stamping on these pieces. So the designer series paper, you need one piece that's 4 1/8 inch by 3 5/8 inches, which is 10.5 by 9.2 centimetres. Then you'll need 2 pieces which measure 3 5/8 inches by 4 1/2 inches, which is 9.2 by 11.4 centimetres, and that's the design I'm going to be using. And the last 2 pieces are 4 1/8 inches by 4 1/2 inches, which is 10.5 by 11.4 centimetres. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is using our scoreboard. And with the 2 long pieces of cardstock, put them in the landscape mode, and we're going to score at 4 1/2 inches and 8 1/2 inches, which is 11.4 centimetres and 21.5 centimetres. And then turn your cardstock anti-clockwise and score at 4 7/8 inches, which is 12.3 centimetres. And then do exactly the same with this piece, landscape, at 4 1/2 inches and 8 1/2 inches, or 11.4 and 21.5 centimetres. Turn your cardstock anti-clockwise again and score at 4 7/8 inches, which is 12.3 centimetres. Now it's important that both of these pieces have been scored in exactly the same way, which is why I specifically said turn it anti-clockwise. So if you do both of them like that, you'll be fine. So that, I think you can just about see the lines on here, can't you? You've got the 1/2 inch down here and here, 1/2 inch here and here. So the first thing we're going to do is some cutting, and on this score line here we're going to cut up to that score line, and that little square we're going to cut out, but we just need to miter the edges very, very slightly. So just as you go towards the centre, just take it out so you've got like a little thin triangle there, and then cut this at a very, very slight angle, and then this one at a slight angle. Okay, so that is not a right angle there. And then the same on this one, very slightly miter to the cut line and on that side, and then slight miter on the bottom side, and then again on the side round here. Okay, might just cut that a little bit more, that was a bit not quite onto the score line. There we go. Alright, so they're not proper, they're not right angle triangles. Right, so what we do next is we're going to fold these. Again, I'm keeping these in the same direction. Okay, so that's my cutout and that's my cutout. So score on your score lines, making sure that your edges all match up. Right, and keep that way. Once they've all been folded and burnished, and you know they're both the right way, then you're safe. Okay, so that's both done the same. So I know I'm alright on that one. So what we're going to do now is to adhere all these pieces together. That one you don't need for the time being. So let's marry these up. Right, that should be that one there. Right, and then we're just going to glue them all together. You can use whichever glue you like. I'm going to use Tombow. And when you're cutting your pieces, be careful if you're using a directional pattern. Even stripes like this are directional, because you must make sure they're all like this, because if you finish up like that, then it makes your box look a bit odd. Okay, so Tombow. Obviously it's a lot quicker if you do use something like snail. Tombow doesn't take too long. And then the lid, we can, don't know if I did that one very well, does it? That's because I'm trying to rush. Doesn't pay. Right, this is the lid, so we'll do all three pieces here. We've got to put this through the big shot, and quite surprisingly the die does go through all three layers without too much of a problem. I've left a bigger gap with that outside layer, and I've done that on the box all the way round as well. I think that's part of the attraction of Rebecca's box. She left a nice big gap round hers as well. It looks lovely. Right, that's a lid, don't need that one. Right, so we're going to put this on here now. I just find it easier to put these sides on before I put the box together. You see, I've left quite a big gap on that one. Normally I only do 1/8 of an inch all the way round. That one. I'm doing some writing on here, trying to make sure I didn't get myself confused. It didn't work, I'm afraid, so I got very, very confused. And I really don't know why. It's not that difficult. Now that piece looks far too small. It does, doesn't it? I've done that the wrong side. That's the same as that side. Right, I'm not going to redo that bit. I'll do it off camera. It's not going to affect putting the box together. I just said, didn't I? Got myself confused. As I say, it's not going to affect putting the box together. I'll just come back and do that later. Right, I think we'll do the die cutting first. So what we need, if I get the big shot up, let me move that one out of the way because that's very sticky. Right, so for this one I need to use the, what number is this? My layering ovals, thinlit dies. This is the straight cut and it's number 4. The scallop one that I'll be using in a moment is number 5. Okay, so this one first, I need this to be in the middle. Now if you want to make sure that you really are in the middle, then you can just measure across that way and then decide where your centre is. But I think that's, I'm quite happy just to eyeball that. If I'm out, it's not going to be massively out. Okay, so I'm going to take that through once, take it through again, and then I'm going to very carefully look at it. That's not quite cut through, so I'm turning it in the other direction, and then I'm going to pop it through again, backwards and forwards. I mean, considering this is going through 3 lots of paper, 2 cardstock and 1 designer series paper, these dies do very, very, very well. There we go. See, that's just going to pop out nice and easily. So the other thing we're going to do is with this, we're going to pop the scallop die on first, and then the straight cut, and just look at it to try and get it so that it looks as if the straight cut is in the centre of the scallop cut. Which I think that looks about alright, without being able to get my head right the way over. And then obviously that only needs to go through the machine once. Okay, so that was the middle that came out. And there's my little frame. Isn't that beautiful? So I'll get rid of that one. The oval I'll save. I'm sure it'll come in useful for something. Right, so I've moved that out. So I'm going to pop this on. I'll use my silicone mat so that I can get the glue around it. That might have come out a little bit too quick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that, just blot it onto a piece of scrap paper so that it mops up the excess glue. As you can see, it was already prepared. Let's bring it forward so you can see me do this. All I do is just pick it up and pop it down. Obviously don't leave it down long enough for it to actually stick. But then pop that round the edge. Okay. Nice little touch, isn't it, that? Right, now we just need to put our box together. And what we're going to do, this is why it was important for you to have the 2 pieces in the same position. If that was down that end, there's no way you're going to be sticking your box together. So what we're going to do first is on one tab, doesn't matter which one you choose, we're going to put some glue on it. Now this, I really do recommend that you use Tombow. I know that I'm biased because I just think it's the best glue ever. but I feel that this will take quite a bit of handling, shall we say. It is a practical item and it's going to last ages if it's looked after properly. So I think it needs to have a really good adhesive on it, the best adhesive. Right, now you just slide that on there. Okay, so you should finish up with a nice little mitered bit there as well. Now if you turn it over, and then we're going to be folding those in. So first of all, this one, and as I did before, if you find that you've got too much glue coming out on this, just mop it up onto a piece of scrap paper. When I'm doing this, I'm not actually squeezing all the time. Once I get some of the glue out, then I just use the nozzle to push it along. Okay. And then that should just fold over. Okay. Now this is the only bit that I find a little bit tricky. We've got to put glue on all four of these at the same time. Glue it down and then pop this on. So the way I do that, again, Tombow. I don't think Tombow's quite so important here because, although I don't know if you pick it up the way I do, which is, I always pick mine up like this. So I suppose it probably is better if you use Tombow for this. It's what I would recommend. Your decision, but that's my recommendation. Okay, so this is the easy bit, just doing these two sides. And then we've got to do the other two. I don't decorate my products that I do like this with flowers and butterflies and other 3D type things, ribbons, bows, etc. Because it's a practical item and it's going to be used. It's going to be sitting on a shelf or a dressing table or something, and I just think that with all the embellishments it can make them just catch dust collectors, which you really don't want on tissues. Right, and then this one, you do have to hold this up now to do this. And then this one as well. Probably a lot easier at this stage to use fast fuse. I just like the time that Tombow gives me. Right, now what I do is with my paper piercer, and I make sure I got a little bit of kitchen towel here, I just push these down. I don't really want to touch them with my fingers, and I don't think it matters which way they go down, and then I just use that to mop up my paper piercer. And then I take this, line it up on one side, and then I use my fingers like this as a guide to make sure that I'm not coming over the edge, but making sure that I am going as a straight box. It's quite easy to do that bit. You can feel with your fingers how it's coming to the edge, and then once you're happy that that's gone on nice and straight, just use your bone folder to push the seams down. I didn't bring another box of tissues in, did I? So let's take that one. Okay, and just slip that over the top, and there you go. Isn't that great? Lovely. Oops, no, not that side. We don't want to see that one, do we? A lovely project. Really super. Thank you very, very much, Rebecca. Really super. Love it. Hope you give it a try. Many thanks for joining me today. If you have any questions, please contact me. I'm always happy to help. Let me just show you a couple of other designs that I did. That was the one I showed you, wasn't it? The writing, I think. Or it might have been the flowers. I've done, these are all three from the designer series paper stack. And my first one, which was a retired paper, but it's still the same colour scheme. But I was really pleased with my first one. You know, they were that easy to do. Not enough room on the screen here for all of these, but you get the idea. If you'd like to purchase any of the products that I've used here today, apart from the tissues obviously, there'll be a link for my 24/7 online Stampin' Up shop in the box below. If you just click on show more, it'll open up the box. All the contacts will be in there, and it'll be in there where I put the details of the products that Rebecca used as well. If you've enjoyed watching my video, please click on the subscribe button, and then you'll be notified each time I upload another video, which is normally on Wednesdays and Sundays. And finally, as I said earlier, I will put all the measurements and the products on the screen, but if you're watching on a device where you can't see it, click on the show more below, and that'll open up the box, and I'll make sure all the details are in there for you. Many thanks for joining me today. Until next time, happy crafting. Cheerio.